look at the 2026 standings right now. I mean, if you were just a casual fan checking the Wikipedia page, you'd think this season was completely over.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, because Mercedes and Kimi Antonelli are sitting on this massive 50-point lead in the Drivers' Championship, and they've got a 72-point lead in the Constructors.
Yeah, it looks like a wrap.
Exactly. On paper, it's done. We should all just pack up and go home. Right. But then you look closer.
You really have to look at the numbers.
Yeah, we've got a massive stack of paddock telemetry, leaked wind tunnel data, and, all our engineering notes on our desks today. And if you read the actual data, you realize something wild is happening.
It's crazy.
The entire grid is absolutely terrified of the red cars right now.
The atmosphere in the paddock is incredibly tense.
Okay.
I mean, you have a team leading by 72 points, yet Mercedes is the one acting like they're cornered.
Right.
What we're witnessing from Maranello isn't just like a late-season push to save face. It is a highly coordinated, incredibly aggressive siege on the championship.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our mission for this deep dive is to extract exactly what Ferrari is doing. We are going to expose their brutal, three-phase technical master plan to overhaul Mercedes in these remaining 12 races.
And it is a master plan.
It really is. And to understand how they plan to pull off a 50-point comeback, we need to set the baseline for you guys. The technical department, led by LOIC SERRA, they aren't just bringing a few updated front wings. They are the 2026 vanguard.
Yeah, the efficiency of their development cycle this year is something Formula One just hasn't seen in a very long time. I mean, the telemetry proves it. Up to this point in the season, they have already found a staggering 0.8 of a second per lap.
Wait, 0.8?
0.8, just purely through their upgrade packages.
Under a budget cap.
Yes.
That's not an upgrade, man. That's a completely different category of race car. I mean, in modern ground effect Formula One, finding 1 or 2 tenths is a massive factory-wide success.
Oh, for sure.
0.8 means the rest of the grid is looking at them like they've literally defied physics.
Well, it is an astronomical number, right? It just breaks the standard development curve. SERRA built the SF26 base design with an enormous amount of operational headroom.
Okay.
So rather than designing a car pushed to its absolute limit on day one, they designed a modular platform specifically meant to be aggressively evolved.
Huh.
And that design philosophy is the foundation for the first phase of this three-part ambush.
Which brings us to the Zandvoort strike. So we are heading to the Dutch Grand Prix, and Ferrari is dropping their third major aerodynamic package of the year.
Yeah.
The core of this is a highly refined evolution of the floor that they originally debuted back in Barcelona.
Right, because in ground effect cars, the floor generates the vast majority of the downforce by pulling the car into the asphalt.
Sure.
But Ferrari isn't chasing a higher peak downforce number in the wind tunnel. What's fascinating here is that their primary goal with this new floor is to massively widen the operating window of the SF26.
Okay.
They want to raise the usable downforce.
Let me jump in with an analogy here to see if I have this right. It's like, instead of making the car a high wire act where the driver has to balance perfectly to get the lap time, a wider operating window turns that tightrope into a wide bridge.
Exactly.
So you can make a tiny mistake, hit a crosswind, or degrade your tires, and you still won't fall off the pace. But I have to ask, is trying to develop at this speed just like rebuilding a fighter jet while it's in a midair dogfight?
It basically is.
And is 0.2 seconds really going to terrify Mercedes, or is that wider operating window the actual lethal weapon here?
It's the window. Take
Yeah.
that bridge analogy a step further. A peaky car-like one with a narrow window might be the fastest machine on the track for 3 laps in qualifying.
When the tires are perfect.
Right. When the tires are perfect, the track temp is exactly 35 degrees, the ride height is flawless. But in a real 70-lap race, the car gets heavy with 100 kilos of fuel.
Yeah.
The tires blister, the wind shifts direction. You get caught in the dirty, turbulent wake of the car ahead.
It's chaos.
It is. So if you have that wide bridge you mentioned, the underfloor aerodynamic seal remains stable and predictable across all those changing variables.
So it's fundamentally about making the car accessible for the driver to physically push to the limit lap after lap, rather than tiptoeing on a knife's edge just to keep it out of the wall.
Exactly. A stable platform has a real-world race pace value that completely eclipses a theoretical 0.2 in a simulator.
Wow.
It protects the tires from overheating, it gives the driver supreme confidence on turn-in, and it virtually eliminates unforced errors.
And Zandvoort is a circuit with those sweeping, high-speed banked corners where chassis stability is your primary weapon.
Yes. Engine power is secondary there.
Yeah.
Ferrari chose the exact perfect topographical battleground to ambush Mercedes with a chassis-heavy upgrade.
But, I mean, there's a physics penalty for bolting all that downforce onto the car at Zandvoort, right? It creates massive drag.
Huge drag.
So if they stop there, they'll be sitting ducks on the long straights at the very next race. You can have all the downforce in the world, but if you get breezed past in the DRS zones, you're dead in the water.
Which means they have to upgrade the power unit.
Exactly. That dictates the second phase of the master plan, the Temple of Speed at Monza.
A home race.
Yeah.
The pressure is always immense, but this year, the paddock knows Ferrari is bringing their 82 engine upgrade. This is their second and final allowed power unit specification change for the entire 2026 season.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because under these regulations, you are heavily restricted on internal engine modifications.
Extremely restricted.
So knowing Ferrari is going to Monza, the obvious assumption is that they are just throwing a massive, oversized turbo into the back of that car to find straight-line speed and make the Tifosi go crazy?
Well, the paddock rumors suggested exactly that. But a bigger turbo adds weight. It increases throttle lag out of low-speed chicanes, and it really compromises the aerodynamic packaging at the rear of the car. So SERRA's engine department didn't do that. They executed a profound surgical revision of the internal mapping and the energy recovery system to basically eliminate high RPM losses.
Wait, when you say high RPM losses, are we talking about the hybrid battery basically running out of juice at the end of the straight?
Sort of, yeah.
Like a phone dying right when you're trying to send a massive file?
That's actually a great way to picture it. It's an energy deployment issue, but let's dive into the physical mechanics of it.
Yeah, lay it out.
In these hybrid engines, when the car is at the absolute end of a massive straight, like the main straight at Monza, the internal combustion engine is screaming at maximum RPM, and the aerodynamic drag is hitting a brick wall of air.
Right.
So most engines start to clip. They dump all their electrical energy in the first half of the straight, their combustion efficiency drops off, and the power delivery just flatlines. Yeah. But Ferrari's new mapping harvests waste heat from the turbo much more efficiently, allowing them to trickle feed that electrical power all the way to the braking zone. They're gaining 10 to 15 horsepower exactly where the aerodynamic resistance is highest.
Okay, but 15 horsepower in an F1 car, pushing close to 1,000 horsepower overall. I mean, is that genuinely enough to shift the entire championship narrative?
You have to look at the ripple effect. 15 horsepower is a monumental game changer.
Really?
Oh, yeah. If your engine is naturally sustaining higher speeds at the end of the straight, your fuel consumption drops because the driver isn't staying on the throttle as aggressively to overcome drag.
Oh, I see.
Better fuel management means you can underfuel the car, giving you a lighter, faster chassis at the start of the race. And better electrical management means you always have battery deployment available to defend against an overtake or attack the car ahead.
And it solves the drag penalty from the Zandvoort upgrade. If you have a power deficit, you're forced to run a compromised, low-drag, skinny rear wing just to keep up on the straights, which ruins your cornering speed.
Yep.
With this ADU2 upgrade, Ferrari cuts their straight-line deficit to Red Bull powertrains and Mercedes in half. They can run their optimal high-downforce setups without bleeding time on the straights.
And the strategic masterstroke here is the allocation. This new specification will be their fourth power unit of the season.
Meaning they don't take a grid penalty, they get the massive performance leap for free.
Completely for free.
Yeah.
And Mercedes, meanwhile, is staring down the barrel of a major reliability crisis.
Oh, man, yeah.
They are right on the edge of their engine allocation and are actively sweating over whether they'll be forced to take a 5 or 10 place grid penalty at that exact same race in Monza.
That is brutal. Ferrari brings a lethal zero-penalty engine update at home, while Mercedes might be starting in the midfield.
It's a huge swing.
But wait, downforce and straight-line speed create a new, violent problem. Tire destruction. Putting that much load and speed through the chassis will melt the rubber if you don't have the mechanical grip to support it. That forces Phase 3, the autumn strike.
Right. The target is the United States Grand Prix in Austin, Texas, this October.
Love that track.
It's great. And this will be Ferrari's fourth major package of the season. And it's designed specifically to mechanically polish the aerodynamic monster they've built.
Austin is a notoriously punishing track.
Yeah.
It's incredibly bumpy, the elevation changes into turn 1 are violent, and it demands absolute mechanical perfection.
It does.
The engineering notes indicate the goal for Austin is creating a neutral rear axis. To break that jargon down for you guys, we're talking about suspension geometry that isolates the chassis from pitch and roll.
Yes.
It keeps the rear ride height absolutely static over those nasty Texas bumps. Because if the car bounces, the floor unseals from the track and you instantly lose all that downforce from the Zandvoort upgrade.
Yes, exactly. A neutral rear axis means perfecting the traction out of low-speed corners. It stabilizes the platform so the rear tires don't overheat when the driver puts the power down.
Right.
And while Ferrari is surgically piecing together this unstoppable machine, the sheer pace of their development is causing absolute chaos across the rest of the grid.
Oh, rival teams are completely cracking under the pressure. Haas and Alpine are drowning in inefficient updates that are actively making their cars harder to drive.
It's painful to watch.
Mercedes is suddenly being forced to panic spend unplanned resources, budget cap money they desperately wanted to save for next year's car, just to try and hold back this red tide.
Yeah.
And McLaren is practically abandoning their own philosophy to desperately copy Ferrari's homework. They are aggressively trying to reverse engineer the FTM system and the infamous Macarena wing.
The paddock is obsessed with the Macarena wing.
Let's define these, because it sounds like Ferrari got their hands on leaked alien technology or something.
It really does.
The FTM is the flow trajectory modifier. They are using physical carbon veins to catch the dirty, turbulent wake coming off the front tires and forcibly inject it outward, away from the sensitive floor.
Yep.
And the Macarena wing, that's the paddock's nickname for Ferrari's rear wing philosophy, where the airflow physically oscillates side to side across the rear elements. It literally dances back and forth to shed excess thermal load from the rear tires.
It's genius. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the defining reality of this new generation of Formula One regulations.
How so?
In the budget cap era, one highly efficient, successful upgrade package can completely change a team's trajectory.
Right.
But failed updates destroy your season. You waste precious runs in CFD, computational fluid dynamics, the multi-million-dollar virtual wind tunnels, and you burn millions of real dollars manufacturing carbon fiber parts that don't correlate to the real world.
Which is exactly what Haas is dealing with.
Yeah. Exactly. Ferrari is currently the undisputed king of update efficiency.
Yeah.
Every single time they put a piece of carbon fiber on that car, the real-world telemetry perfectly matches what the virtual simulator promised.
The hardware sounds unstoppable. I mean, you've got the usable downforce floor in Zandvoort, the high-efficiency engine in Monza, and the neutral suspension in Austin.
It's the Holy Trinity.
But hardware alone does not win Formula One World Championships. So what does this all mean? Let's bring this hype train to a screeching halt. We have to talk about the Achilles heel.
The operational execution,
Yeah.
the human element.
Having the SF-26 right now is like having a quantum supercomputer, but trying to run it on Windows 95.
That is painfully accurate.
The machine itself is capable of calculating the universe, but the human operating system on the pit wall keeps freezing and crashing under pressure.
You only have to look at the telemetry and team radio from the Hungarian Grand Prix a few weeks ago to see the cracks. Ferrari objectively had the machine to win that race. The car pace was flawless.
Flawless, but the execution was a catastrophe. To give you the exact details from our notes on lap 42, the pit wall completely misread the track temperature data.
Oh, it was bad.
They panicked about tire degradation and boxed Charles Leclerc to cover an undercut, putting him on the hard compound tire. The track was cooling down. Those hard tires took 3 full laps to get into the optimal temperature window.
3 full laps.
In those 3 laps, Leclerc was a sitting duck, bleeding 5 crucial seconds to Antonelli in traffic. That wasn't an engineering failure. That was a human panic attack on the pit wall.
Yeah.
They cost themselves a golden opportunity to take a massive chunk of points out of Mercedes' lead.
And this raises an important question. Can Ferrari's technical brilliance overcome their operational clumsiness?
I don't know.
They're up against Mercedes. In the paddock, they describe Mercedes as curtidos in mil batallas, hardened in 1,000 battles. They are a ruthless, cold, calculating machine. Mercedes rarely beats themselves. If they lose, it's because the car was physically too slow, not because the strategists forgot how to read a tire degradation chart.
And let's be honest, Ferrari hasn't won a world championship in almost 2 decades.
20 years.
And for a large portion of those 20 years, the car wasn't the primary problem. It was internal politics. It was strategic meltdowns on the pit wall. It was a fundamental inability to execute flawlessly when the pressure was highest.
Absolutely.
If Ferrari loses this championship with the SF26, given the staggering three-phase hardware upgrades we just detailed, it will unequivocally not be the car's fault. The engineering department in Maranello has done its job. Now the human beings on the race team have to do theirs.
The pressure on that pit wall is going to be suffocating. Every single strategy call, every tire choice, every pit stop timing is going to be scrutinized under a microscope because everyone in the paddock knows the hardware is capable of dominating.
Which brings us to a fascinating endpoint for you to consider. Let's say they actually do it. Let's say the Zandvoort floor, the Monza engine, and the Austin suspension all click perfectly, and the pit wall doesn't implode.
If Ferrari actually pulls off this 50-point comeback through sheer relentless mid-season development, it leaves us with a chilling thought for the future of the sport.
Yeah.
Does this completely break the accepted logic of how teams manage the budget cap?
Oh.
For years, the consensus has been that you cannot overhaul a massive 70-point constructors deficit mid-season without bankrupting your development resources for the following year. It was supposed to be a marathon.
Right.
But if Ferrari succeeds, will it force an entirely new, hyper-aggressive economic arms race in F1? Will teams start front-loading their entire budgets to just bombard the grid with upgrades, risking everything on technical efficiency and turning the sport into a series of brutal, high-stakes sprints?
It would completely rewrite the playbook. And that is exactly what we are going to be tracking every single week as this war unfolds. But listen, we can't be the only ones analyzing this data. You, the person listening to this right now, are the crucial third member of this paddock debate.
We need to know.
I demand to know where you stand. Is Ferrari going to pull off the greatest technical ambush of the decade with this three-phase master plan? Or are they going to trip over their own shoelaces on the pit wall like they did in Hungary?
Let us know.
Drop your absolute, most unfiltered opinions in the comments. And if you want to actually keep up with this championship fight with intense, real analysis, you need to follow Paddock Notes on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok right now. Hit subscribe.
Yeah, do hit subscribe because if we get enough followers, I'm hoping we can afford to buy one of those leaked alien Macarena wings to mount on the studio wall.
That would be amazing.
I hear McLaren is willing to sell their reverse-engineered blueprints for cheap.
Incredible. Keep an eye on the timing screens, guys, because the red cars aren't just fast right now. They are terrifying. We'll see you in the paddock.